What's up, everyone? It's Justin here with the Real Keeper Home Team, and welcome back to our channel, Everything Jax Real Estate. Today's video, we're going to be doing our first market update report for January 2024 as it pertains to the City of Jacksonville. In this video, we're going to dive into the amount of actives, pendings, solds in the area, the days on market, and also the median list and median sold prices for the homes that are currently in Jacksonville. We'll also dive into the differences between what the median sold price was for the last 6 months and also the median sold price was for the last month. So you have the most pertinent data available to you. But before we get started, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you get notified when we post more content like this in the future. So as we start off, what we're going to key into here is we are going to check out the pen to list ratio. And what we're going to see here is we saw that there was 358 sales pending in the market for the City of Jacksonville for January of 2024. That compared to 1,399 total homes available, which left us with a pen to list ratio of 25.6%, which is actually a little bit more than we saw previously in December. We also see that the market is still being described as mildly active, which still holds true for the City of Jacksonville. And when we take a closer look, you will see that the majority of homes that had contracts were homes in the $300,000 to $400,000 price point. That price point is very desirable for the City of Jacksonville, so it's not surprising that that was the bracket of prices that had the most homes under contract. We also saw that that also was the bracket for the most homes on the market, which we had 206 homes in that $300,000 to $400,000 price point. Despite that, though, the median list price for the City of Jacksonville was $490,000. So the way to look at that is to understand that there's more homes overall that were on the market in Jacksonville, over 400,000, in this case, probably over 500,000, than there were under 500,000, which is what kind of got us on that $490,000 number. What we can also see here is when we look at this graph, we can see that for most of the lower price points, and I say lower, I mean it's all objective, but for homes in the $200,000 to $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 price points, you see that you have a lot more available options for you relative to what's currently under contract. But when you start to go to the higher price points of $800,000 to multi-million, what we see is that the homes on the market aren't that much more than the homes that are in contract, which means that there's less options, which also means that there's less competition, or more competition. So at higher price points, you may have more competition based off of this graph. At the very least, it just means there's also just less options in general at those higher price points. Now, we also see here too that there was a total of just under 2,100 homes that sold in the last 6 months. And for those homes that sold in the last 6 months, the median price was $420,000. So that's a good number to kind of key into, because ultimately it's a big piece of, okay, where has the market been when we look at the last 6 months, and where's the market going when we start looking at the past month, and obviously what's currently in the market. So we know homes have sold for $420,000 in the past 6 months. We know that homes are being listed, median price point of $490,000. So overall, sellers are still listing their homes higher than what they're selling for. Or at least the ones that are being listed higher are the ones that are sitting longer. So then to keep an eye on. Now we also saw here that there were 654 listings that failed to sell. So failed to sell could be for many different reasons. It could be seller decided to take their house on the market, maybe they're not relocating anymore. It could be that it was priced too high, or that the condition wasn't worth the price. It could just be that maybe the realtor could have done a little better job. Could be a lot of things, but ultimately at 654 listings that failed to sell, that's actually less than the last month's video, which means that we're seeing less homes failing to sell now than we did just 30 days ago, when we're looking at the last 6 months of time. Next, we are going to look at the days on market. Now, days on market's very big because it's good to know, again, how long homes are sitting for, how long homes are taking to sell. And so what we did see is that homes are sitting for about 49 days, which is the median days on market for all active listings. That's actually less than what we saw in December. which is a good trend if you're a seller because it means that you may not have to sit in the market as long as you did previously. For buyers, it does mean too that you still have plenty of options and that there are sitting a little longer, so you don't have to make a decision ASAP on most houses. Now keep in mind I say most houses because there are some houses that you may have to move quick on, which is what we're starting to see now as we go into February of this year, as far as people are starting to come quicker on these houses. They're starting to put offers in quicker, and we are starting to see a little bit more multiple offers in some situations. Now, as mentioned before, the median sold price was $420,000. We did mention before the median days on market was 31 days on the market, which is pretty much about the same as it was last month. So we're not seeing a huge change there. Now what we do see is we ultimately see on this graph here below that for January, the median sold price jumped to closer to $430,000, with the days on market actually coming down some. So with those both being the case, days on market going down, price going up, it's a good trend if you're a seller. If you're a buyer, it means that if you start to see that trend continue, you may have less options to choose from because houses are going quicker and for a higher price. So something to keep in mind on. Now for the area, we do see that the median listed sales ratio was 98.8%, which is actually higher than in December. And 98.8%, it just means that a seller is getting about 99% of what they're asking from their price for what they have it listed at versus what it's selling at. Doesn't take into account if they're giving closing costs, concessions, or if they're giving concessions for rate buy downs, or if they're, obviously reducing their price prior to getting under contract and selling to get that contract. But it does tell us that when a house does go under contract, it's going under contract for close to what the seller is currently asking. We also can see here that the absorption rate for the area was 3 months of inventory for the past 6 months. So 3 months pretty much says that, hey, if we don't have any new homes come on the market as of the recording of this video, which is, beginning of February, we'll be out of homes to sell by the end of April. That's not too bad, but also not too good. So what that tells us is that it's still a seller's market because there's not a huge abundance of inventory, but it's not as much of a seller's market as it may have been just a year or two ago. So again, something to keep an eye on. Next, we are going to end it with this table. And the reason I like to talk about this table is if you've seen any of the previous videos, what you're gonna know is that reds are good if you're a seller, reds are bad if you're a buyer, because ultimately it means that homes are selling quicker, there's less inventory at those price points if they're red. And what you can see here is there's not a lot of red. There's a lot more orange now than there was red. And so ultimately, as we've transitioned into 2024, we are seeing inventory levels not necessarily increase, but we're seeing days on market increase. And ultimately, because days on market are increasing and new homes are hitting the market, inventory is coming up just enough to get us out of those reds. So if you're a buyer watching this video, just know that if you're at the higher price points here in Jacksonville, when I say higher, anything over 400,000, you have more options now than you may have had just a couple months ago. If you're a seller, it means you have more competition now than you may have had a couple months ago. So you have to understand what that means for your negotiating tactics and strategies, but if you're a buyer or seller, because of the fact that you may not have more or less competition than you did previously. So if you like this video, all I ask, if you can like this video on YouTube, also feel free to subscribe to our channel and ring that bell so you know if I post more content like this in the future. And also, if you have any questions as far as this market update report, or as far as living in Jacksonville in general, I am born and raised here in Jacksonville. I love the city, know quite a bit about it. Feel free in the description of this video down below, it's a link to my calendar. Feel free to set up some time on my calendar for us to meet face-to-face, through Zoom, or even a phone call, so I can go over any questions you and your family may have, as well as dive into what areas or neighborhoods may fit you and your family the best based off of what it is you guys are looking for. So until next time, I'll see you guys again on the next video.